I know what you're thinking. A mother isn't supposed to watch her son like that. But I did, and he saw me. That moment, just a second of eye contact, shattered everything I thought I knew about right and wrong. It wasn't lust. It wasn't shame. It was a silence so loud. It shook the floor beneath me. I wanted to disappear. But instead, my stepson said something I never expected. Something that broke me. And saved us both. This is the story I never thought I'd tell. But maybe someone out there needs to hear it. I married David when Aiden was 19. His mother had passed 4 years earlier, and by then, the house already felt like a shrine, pictures on the walls, untouched furniture, and a kind of silence you don't speak into. David worked long hours, I worked from home, and Aiden, he barely spoke to me. We weren't close. We weren't enemies either. Just two people occupying the same house, trying not to step on grief-shaped landmines. At first, I tried. I asked about his classes, offered to cook his favorite meals, even left post-it notes with motivational quotes on his bedroom door. He never tore them down. He never replied either. I told myself not to push. He was an adult, and I wasn't his mom. Still, sometimes I caught him watching me when he thought I wasn't looking. Not in a creepy way, just searching. Like he was trying to read a language he'd never learned. I kept my distance. I thought I was doing the right thing. But distance doesn't solve silence. And silence doesn't protect you from what brews beneath it. There were nights I heard him pacing in his room. Other nights, I'd see him standing outside on the balcony, staring into nothing, a cigarette between his fingers and a storm behind his eyes. He never said a word. And I never asked. Until that one quiet afternoon. When a door I thought was shut, wasn't. And everything changed. It happened on a Tuesday. The house was quiet. David was at work. Aiden had the day off from classes. I was folding laundry in the hallway when I noticed his bedroom door slightly ajar. Just a sliver. I shouldn't have looked. But I did. At first, I thought he was asleep. He was on his bed, headphones on, his laptop open in front of him. But then I saw his eyes. Wide, awake, locked on the screen. I froze. It took me a second to understand what he was watching. And another second to realize it wasn't just any video. It was explicit. My first instinct was to walk away. Pretend I saw nothing. Give him privacy. But something kept me there. Not the content, not the shock. It was his face. He looked ashamed, not aroused, not excited. Ashamed, like he was doing something dirty, but couldn't stop. And then it happened. He turned. And he saw me. Our eyes met for less than a second. But it was long enough for both of us to know we couldn't undo it. I stepped back. He ripped off his headphones. "Lena," he said, his voice cracked. "I'm sorry," I whispered. I didn't mean." He didn't shout. He didn't slam the door. He just sat there. Still. Like his soul had left the room. And in that stillness, something broke between us. Or maybe it started to open. I avoided him for the rest of the day. Not because I was angry, God. No. I was paralyzed. Every room in the house felt heavier. Even the air had weight. That night, I lay in bed and stared at the ceiling like it held answers. I replayed the moment over and over. His face, the flicker of horror, the way his hands trembled as he closed the laptop. Was he disgusted with me? Or with himself? I thought about knocking on his door, saying something, anything. But what could I possibly say? Sorry for walking in. Sorry for seeing too much. Sorry for caring. The next morning, I made breakfast and left it on the counter. He didn't touch it. He left the house without a word. By evening, the silence was suffocating. So I broke it. I knocked. Not hard, just enough. Aiden, can we talk? No answer. I'm not here to make you feel worse, I said through the door. I need you to know that I'm not judging you. Still nothing. I saw something I wasn't meant to, but that doesn't change how I see you. I waited. Nothing. Then the door creaked open, just slightly. He didn't meet my eyes. His voice was low. You think I'm disgusting now, don't you? No, I said, immediately, stepping closer. No, I think you're confused, and hurting, and maybe no one ever made space for you to talk about it. He looked up, just for a second. And in that second, I saw something I didn't expect. Relief. And something else too, fear, raw and unfiltered. Then he said something I'll never forget. Lena, I'm not proud of it, but sometimes, I don't know what to do with the way I feel. I opened the door wider and stepped into his room. He didn't back away. He just sat on the edge of the bed, hands clenched, eyes locked on the floor, like he was bracing for punishment. You can talk to me, I said, voice barely above a whisper. I don't want to be this way, he murmured. What way? He swallowed, the kind of person who notices his own stepmom more than he should. My breath caught. He kept going. I don't mean to, I try not to, but sometimes, when you're in the kitchen, or reading, or just walking around, I can't look away, I feel like a freak. I said nothing. I didn't know how to respond without breaking either of us. I even, once, he hesitated, saw you through the bathroom mirror. You didn't know I was there. I just stood there, frozen. It wasn't planned, it just happened. Silence. I felt the floor tilt under me, not from anger, but from the raw, naked honesty of it. He was confessing, not to provoke, not to test boundaries, but to be free. I'm sorry, he whispered. I needed to say it. I hate this part of me. I sat down beside him. Not too close. Aiden, you're not a monster. You're human, and confused, and probably scared as hell. But that doesn't mean you're broken. His shoulders trembled. I just want to be normal, he said. I looked at him, really looked, and said, maybe normal isn't about never crossing lines. Maybe it's about learning how to face the truth without running. The next morning, everything felt fragile. Like we had stepped into a different version of the world, one where things were said, and heard, and couldn't be taken back. Aiden didn't go to school. He stayed in his room. Door open this time, headphones off. It felt like progress. Until my phone buzzed. A text from a coworker. Is this you? Attached was a video link. I clicked. It was us. In his room. My voice soft, trembling. You're not a monster. You're human? My hands went cold. The angle, slightly high. From outside the window. Someone had filmed us. The caption on the reposted video read, my stepson confessed the unthinkable, and my son's mom didn't even flinch. WTF. Comments poured in. Where's the dad? CPS needs to see this. This is sick. I stared at the screen, numb. I heard Aiden behind me. What's that? He asked, stepping closer. I didn't turn the phone around. But he saw my face. And he knew. His knees buckled as he dropped onto the couch. No, 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 who would? His voice cracked. I sat beside him. We'll figure it out. His eyes filled with panic. You don't get it. That video, it's out there. I'm a freak now, and you. I'm not leaving you, I said firmly. But even as I said it, I could feel the storm gathering. Because some doors don't just open. They get kicked off their hinges. The moment David stepped through the door, I knew. This wasn't going to be a conversation. It was a trial, and I was the accused. He didn't even sit down. Just stood there, keys still in hand, eyes sharp like broken glass. You let it happen, he spat. You encouraged it. I blinked. What are you talking about? He tossed his phone onto the table. The video, the comments, the shame. You sat there and let him say those sick things to you, without stopping him. Aiden stood in the hallway. Pale. Dad, it wasn't like that. But David didn't look at him. Only me. You've always been too soft. He hissed. I should have known. My heart cracked. I opened my mouth, but he raised his hand. Don't. You think this is love? You made it worse. You let him believe it was okay. David, I said, my voice trembling. He needed compassion, not silence. He needed a damn wall. And you took it down. He turned to Aiden. And you, don't even look at me until you've learned the meaning of respect. Aiden shrank like a boy again. David turned back. I'll be back when she's out of this house. Then the door slammed. And all I could hear was Aiden breathing like he was trying not to fall apart. So was I. But I couldn't, not yet. I didn't cry when Dad slammed the door. I didn't cry when Rachel sank into the chair like her spine had finally given up. I cried later, alone. In the garage, in the dark, into the sleeves of a hoodie I hadn't washed in weeks. The shame felt bigger than me. I wanted to disappear. No, I wanted to be someone else. I opened my laptop, cursor blinking. I hovered over deactivate account. Then, transfer schools. Then, delete everything. But just before I hit the button, I saw something. A comment. Anonymous. No profile pic, just words. If he was my son, I'd hug him. Not humiliate him. It knocked the air out of me. Not because it fixed anything. But because someone, somewhere, wasn't disgusted. They understood. That night, I didn't sleep, I wrote. At 3:12 a.m., I hit post. My name is Aiden Carter. I was caught in a moment I'm not proud of. But I wasn't met with anger. I was met with understanding. And for that, I won't be silent anymore. By morning, it had 212 likes. By noon, 4.000. Then someone shared it, then another. By the end of the day, Lena came into my room holding her phone. Her hands were shaking. You wrote this?" she asked, eyes glassy. I nodded. She sat beside me, said nothing. Then whispered. You just turned your deepest shame into someone else's survival. We sat in silence for a while. Not the awkward kind. The sacred kind. The kind where you realize you've just stepped out of a cave and into the light. They called it a hearing. 3 board members. A counselor. A school attorney. A long table in a sterile conference room that smelled like bleach and quiet judgment. I wore my plainest blouse. No makeup. But my voice came dressed for war. I'm not here to defend scandal. I began. I'm here to defend parenting. The room stayed silent. My stepson came to me at his lowest. Not with pride, with shame. And what did I do? I sat down. I listened. Not because I condoned what he said, but because I knew ignoring it would leave him drowning alone. A woman in a navy blazer cleared her throat. Mrs. Carter, the concern is not just about what was said, it's about public perception. I nodded. And whose fault is that? His? Mine? Or the person who recorded a private conversation without consent? The man at the end of the table shifted uncomfortably. I stood. If compassion threatens your image, Then maybe the image needs changing. There was a long pause. Then, the counselor finally spoke. You didn't fail him, she said softly. You gave him a lifeline. That's not misconduct. That's courage. I exhaled. Not in victory, but in recognition. Sometimes doing the right thing doesn't feel good. It feels terrifying. But looking back at Aiden, sitting behind me with his head held high, I knew I'd do it all again. Even if it cost me everything. The storm didn't pass overnight. Some people still whispered. David didn't come home for weeks. And there were days when Aiden barely spoke more than a sentence. But healing isn't loud. It's quiet. It lives in the small things. Like the first time he asked me if I wanted tea. Or when he sat beside me on the porch and said nothing, but didn't leave. One evening, I found a folded note on the kitchen counter. It read, "Thank you for not running, even when I made it hard to stay. Aiden." I cried, not out of sadness, but because I finally understood the power of being there for someone, truly there. Not to fix them. Not to change them. Just to remind them they're not unlovable. 1 month later, the school quietly issued a policy update on digital privacy. They never apologized, but I didn't need the words. Aiden went back to class. He walked slower now, but with his head up. And me? I stopped questioning whether I did the right thing. Because every time he smiled, every time he chose connection over silence, I knew. We both made it through. Not unscarred, but unbroken. Sometimes, being a parent doesn't mean having all the answers. It just means staying in the room when someone else finally finds the courage to speak. And that is enough. If you're still here, listening, thank you. This wasn't an easy story to tell. It wasn't clean or comfortable. But sometimes the messiest moments are the ones that change us. If you've ever felt like the villain in your own house. If you've ever sat with someone in silence, unsure of what to say. Or if you've ever had to choose between judgment and compassion. I see you. Being a mother isn't always about biology. Sometimes, it's about being the one who stays when the world walks out. And if you're a son or daughter, carrying guilt for feelings you don't understand, please know. You are more than your worst moment. And someone out there is willing to sit beside you. Without turning away. That's what saved Aiden. Not a lecture. Not a punishment. Just a moment of being heard. So maybe, next time someone opens their door, even just a little, don't slam it shut. Walk in. Sit down. And listen.